Hey everyone, it's Jonathan, and welcome to the second in our 6-part series on Wallace and Gromit. Today I'm joined once more by Sarah, Nicki, and Dan, and we're talking about one of the best entries in the series, The Wrong Trousers. This episode was part of a nearly 5.5-hour marathon recording session, and despite the fact that this episode is only a half hour, there was a ton more conversation on random British things that really had nothing to do with Wallace and Gromit, even though the tangents may have spun off of something we saw here. Most of those tangents have been or will be compiled into bonus and extended episodes on Patreon, but if you want a taste of what you can expect from those, stick around after we sign off. Like I said, we recorded a ton all at once, so there was plenty happening between episodes, and some of it was semi-relevant to what we were talking about, so I figured I'd find a way to include it, even if it meant tacking it on at the end.
So I suppose I should open this up with a question to you guys. Have you ever worn the wrong trousers?
Many days.
I
Never,
feel like,
never a set like this though.
I think I might be wearing them right now.
I've had trousers that I later discovered had a rip, so I guess those would be the wrong trousers.
They're not great trousers.
Some clothing items just aren't very cooperative, but you wear them anyway.
Fair point.
I'm a rather large-thighed individual, unfortunately, so I can't wear jeans comfortably. So they are usually the wrong trousers for me.
Have you ever listened to the song called My Lucky Pants Failed Me Again?
No, I haven't.
Well, it's a British guy who sings it. You should look it up.
Lucky
It's
pants
very
have
good.
failed me again. I'll have a look. Right, I must make a note of this. My internet
Yes.
history is going to get me in trouble with my partner this week, I can tell you now.
Tom Rosenthal.
If he's a British guy, he's probably singing about his underwear, not actual pants.
No, I think it's actually Lucky Pants. I could be wrong.
Because they call trousers, the pants are trousers, and pants are underwear over there.
Yes.
Well, either way, I like the song. He also has a great one about hummus.
Ooh.
Oh, that's the same guy.
Yes,
I like
yes.
hummus.
Yes, he's very creative in his titles.
The hummus among us.
I'm going to have to look this guy up. I'll do it post-podcast, because we have a date with the wrong trousers. The second outing for our good pals Horace and Peanut.
I tell you, this penguin is my favorite Wallace and Gromit villain. He has to be.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And again, it links back to what I said in the chat for the Grand Day Out, which is it's incredible how much emotion and how much energy they can portray from effectively a lump of clay doing stop motion that has no dialogue.
And with the penguin especially, he doesn't even have facial expressions, but just the little subtle movements gets everything across. I was just kind of blown away watching this penguin. Like, you know exactly what he's thinking, and his face does not change.
It's
Yes.
crazy.
Absolutely. It's incredible. Because, like, even with Gromit, he doesn't talk, but you can usually say the eye movements or, like, his ears up or down or the way his body is held. Penguin, Feathers McGraw, nothing. He just waddles and stops. And again, it comes down to perfect timing as well. It's the fact that they time it in such a way that he stops at just the right moment to have that kind of emotional resonance where you go, I know exactly what he's thinking.
The tension and then, like, pulling on his little disguise.
Yeah.
As if, with confidence and malice or whatever.
It's like if it was a second early or a second late on the edit on that, it just wouldn't work. But it's the fact that they knew the timing so perfectly for exactly what to show and what not to show and how to do it that it's perfect. It's really, really solid.
So safe to say that this is not one that you're disappointed in, right?
So, absolutely. So I think the Grand Day Out is my favourite one overall. It's the one that I take the most comfort out of. It's the one that I am quite happy to slip into. The Wrong Trousers, I think, is probably the most technically impressive one of the lot. Because I think that when you consider that it was entirely done in analog, like, Were Rabbit has some really cool moments, but as Jonathan mentioned in the last cast, a good chunk of it was computer generated to try and smooth over the cracks because there was some stuff you couldn't do in real life that computers needed to pick up the pace on. The Wrong Trousers was entirely done by hand, and when you consider stuff, we'll probably get to it in a bit, but the train scene towards the end, when you consider that all of that was done one frame at a time, painfully over multiple months, It's such an incredible work. I mean, Spielberg, I think, once famously said that train scene is one of the greatest chase sequences in film history, and I find it very hard to disagree with him on it. Honestly,
It's so
very
well done.
impressive. Mm.
Agreed.
Absolutely. So it's probably my second favorite overall Wallace and Gromit adventure, but I think it's because I like it more technically. But I'm always a sucker for a good story, and for me, the cute gonk droid skiing around is just ever so slightly more engaging than the Feathers McGraw adventure. But it's close. It's very close.
I think this is probably my favorite of the shorts. I think it's probably a lot of people's favorites, just because Feathers is such an iconic villain.
Well, and he was so iconic, they brought him back for this too, or brought him back for Vengeance Most Foul.
Absolutely.
It's almost like the Superman thing of like, wait, it's you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I loved that moment.
Yeah. He pulls the chicken head off. And that's fantastic. It works both ways as well, because not only do they put so much emotion into Feathers, who just does not have any emotional reaction at all to the scene, like physically, but I think they do a real job in helping to sell the idea of Gromit being sad. And I think this is the first time you actually see sad Gromit as well. And they do such a powerful thing, especially when he packs up to leave home and he puts his little rain mac on and, gets his bindle and goes to the gate.
I like that this includes the word bindle in the podcast.
It's a good day when you can have that.
Everybody loves a little hobo bindle action. It's one of my favorite things.
Gromit is just so great in this. Like that scene and his first scene at the beginning. I love the way he opens the card for his birthday and starts playing music and it just rolls his eyes. Yeah. I was like, yeah, that's about how I feel about those things.
Oh, okay. Another moment where he's probably my spirit animal. Like, I still struggle. Like, there's nothing wrong with those, and yet my dignity is like, no. There's nothing wrong with this.
It probably has one of my favourite jokes of any of the Wallace and Gromit shorts as well, which is the bit where he goes to confront Feathers with a rolling pin, and he's there like trying to look like the hard guy, and then Feathers just pulls a revolver on him immediately.
I love the way he pulls out the gun.
Because, like, again, in England, guns aren't really, like, a thing, so I think Gromit was going into that situation fairly confident that, like, he was going to have the sort of upper hand. So when he pulls a gun, not only is it like, oh, he's got a gun, it's like, where'd he get a gun from? This is not a common thing in England.
Punchier for British audiences than for us. Yeah, he has a gun.
I would say this one too does the best with like kind of the Looney Tunes aesthetic. It has those most like him pulling the gun out of nowhere, or the way that the train scene goes. They live in that world of Looney Tunes so much more in this one.
Yeah.
Now you're making me want to theorize, is he American? Like, there's no reason for him not to be.
I mean, penguins, they could be from anywhere, really, depending on, if they lived in a zoo or, someone had them as a pet or,
Where did he learn these things?
Exactly. Where did he learn to find a perfectly crafted glove that was red and use it as a what is it, a cockerel?
A comb, chicken comb.
This is where it starts to get silly to ask questions, kind of like a granddad. Like, you can ask the questions, but will you ever get the answers?
Absolutely. I mean, we know at least he learned his technical skills by reading Gromit's Electronics for Dogs book.
But does that work because Feathers isn't a dog?
True. Or
but
is
he's
he?
a genius, isn't he? So
He's bilingual, well, trilingual. If he can understand English, he can understand English, penguin, and dog.
So here's a question, and this is more of a technical thing, but did Feathers have a name, or at this point, I know Wallace refers to him as Penguin, but did he have a name at this point, or was he named after?
Wasn't he on there was a poster, a wanted poster?
I think, it was a wanted poster, but I don't think it had his name on. I think it said, "Have you seen this chicken?"
Yeah.
But I think he probably got Feathers after the fact, or it was an internal thing, but I don't think it was actually mentioned in the special itself. I know that by A Close Shave, which was 2 years after The Wrong Trousers, he had a full name, because there's a little Easter egg in that one where Gromit's in a jail cell and they scrawled "Feathers was here" on the wall.
I'm looking at posters of this that you can buy, and I'm not seeing an extra name on it. And then another suggested Google search was with tattoo on it. So I'm wondering.
I can say that at the time, when this short came out, there was a big. This was the start of Wallace and Gromit kind of getting promotional items and like toys and stuff like that. And around this time, they released in cereal boxes pencil toppers in the shapes of Wallace, Gromit, and Feathers. And Feathers was called Feathers on the cereal boxes. So
Okay.
I'm assuming the name was like an internal thing, but probably wasn't mentioned in the short. So yeah.
These tattoos are a real thing. Oh my word, there's one with him in his little pistol and and he's got the diamond in a bag and he has like these little dewy eyes and
There's a whole genre of Feathers McGraw tattoos.
oh, there's one where he's like checking his little comb in the mirror. Oh, this is distracting. Oh my word, just carry on.
It's like I say, Wallace and Gromit is such a prominent thing in UK culture that, like, many things can be discussed, but one thing is universal, that Feathers is probably the most evil bird who ever lived, and most British people will just acknowledge that immediately, without question. That
I don't know. I kind
penguin.
of feel like Feathers is my spirit animal.
I by the time we got to like watching him on the movie with him, it was weird because I felt like I just really liked him. I really liked him, and I don't know how healthy that is. It's like, look at this little tough guy off in the cell with his brains and his courage. It's like, you're supposed to be evil, but I really like you.
Well, look at any good villain, like in any franchise. If they're charismatic and can pull that out, like the good villains are the ones that you feel for. You want to gain that investment in them one way or the other. The thing that made Darth Vader so intriguing was because he was someone you could look at and go, "Man, that's pretty awesome."
For
Yeah.
me, I felt myself like, I think admiration, like he's reminding me of the cat I used to have, and just like you're a bad dude, and I'm all about goodness and light, but dang, you've got skills.
But you can still appreciate, a bad penguin, yeah.
I'm not glorifying evil if I like the zoo jailbird penguin.
You can have respect for the jailbird penguin, I think that you respect his methods. You can say that he's got a certain amount of je ne sais quoi.
I think it helps as well, though, that he is inherently evil, but they time him as a comedy character. So when it comes to those reactions and things like that, they do a similar thing to what they do with Gromit. Is they have those times where he'll stop and just stare at something for a while, and you can already tell what's going through his head in the same way that you can with Gromit. And I think that's probably what makes him so endearing, is that he has a kind of relatable. It's weird. It's like watching the two intelligent characters of the special having an entire conversation just through facial expressions.
Well, okay, quick question. With
Yes.
Feathers, like, yes, he used Wallace, yes, he drove away Gromit, and that was messed up, but did he actually even intend to get Wallace in trouble? Or did he just mean to make a clean break with the diamond, and then nobody would know, and he's rich, and it's just like,
I, as a standalone, I think no. I think as a standalone short, I think that Feathers saw an opportunity with Wallace's inventions and thought that it would be a way for him to get a clean getaway. And I think in the worst case scenario, Feathers probably would have used Wallace as collateral, but I don't think he was intending to use him as collateral.
just use him and leave, and then nobody has to know.
Yeah, but I think with the added context from Vengeance Most Foul, which flashes back to the events that happened during The Wrong Trousers, I think that kind of firms up the argument that maybe he was trying to get Wallace framed to an extent, because one of the big plot lines of Vengeance is him literally trying to get him framed and put away for, doing whatever crime is being done. So I don't know. I think maybe he was like not intending to, but wouldn't have hesitated given the chance.
See, I kind of came into this looking like he, in not in a malicious way outrightly, but in a cartoon malicious way, he had planned to use Wallace as soon as the Wrong Trousers came into being.
Mm.
Like that was my kind of take. But again, like it has been ages since I saw Wrong Trousers, and so I saw Vengeance Most Foul and then this again. So that, like what Dan said, the extra context for me at least made that difference.
Yeah, I think if you had only seen this one, I think he was unintended collateral damage. And then by the time of Vengeance Most Foul, even if it was still unintended, at that point he's built up such a grudge that now he wants revenge.
Mm.
Right.
Most Foul?
Absolutely.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, generally speaking with this special, it kind of felt like it took what worked from A Grand Day Out, concentrated it, and then across the board, they did a lot of fine tuning and upgrading. Like the quality of the animation is higher, the quality of the sound production and the soundscape is higher. You get so much more detail in the background of things just ticking over. It's one of those specials you can watch 20 times and still not catch every single joke that's playing out in the background or in the foreground. It feels like a short that has got the full confidence behind it that it knows what it wants to be, which is really good. And like I say, there's a reason why I kind of put it joint top in terms of the ones that I really enjoy, because it does just feel like a really tight, very well-oiled machine doing exactly what it needs to be doing.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's the most focused sometimes. Because some of the others can get a bit convoluted.
Mm.
I don't mean that in a bad way,
I
but
was going to
this one
say
feels like...
convoluted in the sense that a penguin wearing a comb.
I mean, yeah, fair enough. But I feel like as far as like plots go, this is like the most straightforward. Whereas
Yeah.
like in the next one, there's a lady who has a yarn shop and a robot dog who is stealing sheep so that she can stock her shop. And then there's this whole unrelated knitting machine that comes into play. And like it's very convoluted, but it's hilarious. But this one is just very straightforward. There's an evil penguin. He comes and he stays with the good guys, uses the good guys to steal, and then gets caught in the end.
Ta-da!
Yay!
But it's the execution of the very straightforward-ish plot that makes this one just so good.
Absolutely. It's very much a broad story with very meticulous detail.
I love
Yes.
that he gets locked up in the zoo.
Yeah.
Yes.
See through his little bars.
It blows my mind, really, given that there are so many Wallace and Gromit specials, how many of them end up going back to the zoo. I hadn't really realised until I sat down and watched them all one after the other, but like basically out of the 5 specials in a film, I think like 4 of them go back to the zoo even for a small period of time.
I didn't even really think of it, but you might be right. I have to mention, like, before we get to all the penguin stuff, Wallace, this is kind of like the introduction to him making all sorts of absolutely ridiculous inventions.
Mm.
But I really liked at the beginning because he has this whole Rube Goldbergian contraption to get him ready in the morning. And like it never goes like perfectly. And his reaction at the end was, well, that went about as well as expected. I like that line. It's, like I feel like that sometimes.
It's a very British mannerism. You know? Well, you know, it could have been worse.
Just I like the way he phrases things. Like like later on when he's talking about needing money, their bills are piling up, and he's looking over the bills and he says, "No use prevaricating about the bush." And then when he gifts the wrong trousers to Gromit, and he says, "I think you'll find this present a valuable addition to our modern lifestyle."
The look of sheer terror as it storms into the room.
I like when they frame things as if it's a horror movie. Like they do it a lot in Curse of the Were-Rabbit, but here too, like they do it so well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think Triv mentioned it off the call that we were having, that I like the fact that the branding is all kind of in tone with those kind of like neo-noirs and 1940s, 50s B-movie horror type films. It's just a really nice touch.
Yeah. There's always references to things. I'm sure there's so many more references than I caught that either is something that is just to the culture that would go over my head or references a movie I hadn't seen. Like, we'll get to it later in other ones, but like watching it when I was a kid, I did not catch a whole bunch of stuff. And then watching it as an adult, it's like, oh, they're referencing that. Oh, they're referencing that.
It's something I have a love-hate relationship with the series because I like it when it's covert. I like it when it's like, a thing in the background is just kind of ticking over, and if you're watching it one evening, you might spot it. I really grow to dislike it when it becomes overt, when it's like very much in your face and they're just doing direct parodies of things, which they do in later specials.
I think I can understand why you have mentioned more than once the bakery one is your least favorite. They're very in your face in a couple of scenes.
Yeah.
I ended up liking them though, but that was more because I got the reference and I had never gotten it before because I hadn't seen what they were referencing when I first watched it.
No, absolutely. But I mean, with these early specials, at least, we stay quite firmly into the kind of covert side of things, where it's like there are little references to films and media from days gone by in the background of shots. Like, one of my favorite things is how everything Gromit owns is like a parody of a real world thing, but with a dog-based name. So, like, he's listening to Bach on the radio, but it's spelled Bark. Or
Citizen Canine.
Yeah.
Or the book by Fido Dostoevsky.
Yes.
Something like that.
Yeah. It's just nice little things like that where I kind of go, okay, I appreciate that. But, yeah.
You like the more subtle puns rather than the in-your-face references.
Yes, I like it when it's not try because it's a problem I have with a lot of modern cinema as well. It's when comedies do references to classic films, but they do it in a way that's kind of like, you see what we did?
Yeah,
you see what we did?
Yeah.
I get a bit annoyed with that because all that really says to me is, oh, so you want me to go watch the better film that you're telling me about? Whereas if it's just something in the background, you can kind of hit pause on the fourth watch and go, oh yeah, they've snuck that in the background. That's nice. I like that. It's when they draw attention to it that they kind of lose me a little bit.
Or rely on it completely instead of their own story.
Absolutely. Well, I suppose then to cap things off, I would say I really enjoyed The Wrong Trousers, and I think that it's probably the best thing that has come out of Wallace and Gromit on a versatile and technical level. I had a really good time with it, and that's my final 10 penneth on it.
Yeah, I think it is probably my favorite. I think everything about it is genius. I think the train chase is hilarious and genius. Like, who would have thought to put a final boss battle chase scene on a toy train in a living room and make it that thrilling and well paced? It's amazing what they can do. This one is brilliant.
Absolutely.
Do you think Edgar Wright doing Ant-Man, there's the whole toy train set that kind of goes on. Do you think that was pulled from this? Or inspired
I
this?
didn't think it's been a while since I've seen Ant-Man, but I bet there was a bit of inspiration taken.
Almost certainly.
It's not the same, but like it's a toy train in a living room and a whole big chase and battle on a toy train. So,
right.
And Edgar Wright and his crew are British and grew up in a similar time period to myself.
Okay, well
so
then that has to be. I didn't realize he was British. That has to be. He had to have seen that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, I think we've probably said all there is to say and more about The Wrong Trousers. We will be back next time to talk about A Close Shave. So, until then, do you want to let people know where they can find you if they'd like more from you? Sarah?
I can be found on Redbubble under Turnip Wilson. I predominantly do watercolors.
And Nicki?
You can find me here in the, I guess, partial trousers at Trivial Theater on YouTube. Step by, say hello.
And Dan?
You can find me on YouTube and Letterboxd and Blue Sky, all under TYTD Reviews. We review and recover cult and obscure strange cinema. And yeah, drop by, say hi. We're always around. And my Letterboxd in particular, I'm updating all the time with new movies. So yeah, come and say hi. And thanks again for having me on.
Yep. We will be back soon to talk about A Close Shave.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to iHeart Animation. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe and follow my co-hosts as well. My link tree and all of our links will be in the description below. If you want more of my content, all my podcasts are available on YouTube as well as most podcast platforms. If you enjoyed this show, check out one of the other podcasts or check out my Patreon for bonus and extended episodes you won't find anywhere else. We'll be back soon with another brand new episode, so thanks for listening and we'll see you next time.
Now I'm in the mood for ice cream, so I'm gonna go get some ice cream.
Right, I'll see you in about 2.5 hours, 3 hours. Chicago is how far away?
Ice cream obtained. Although it's
What
not
flavor?
Carvel.
What flavour?
Cookies and cream?
Okay, you're allowed to stay.
Thanks. I think.
It depends on. It's a very serious business, the matter of ice cream. I actually have a cookie dough one in the freezer myself. I would go and get it, but I've got pizza, so I've got to be careful.
Oh yeah, you definitely don't want to mix. You don't want to cross the streams.
No. I mean, the thing is, there's nothing between myself, God, and the police stopping me from having ice cream before pizza, but pizza before ice cream seems like the morally sound choice.
Yeah, I think so. I think you always do savory before sweet.
Yeah. No, agreed. I mean, I still love the fact that I can go and buy a birthday cake whenever I want and just eat it. Doesn't even have to be my birthday. If I want a tasty vanilla sponge treat, just put it in my basket. Sorted.
Absolutely, and that's a nice thing.
Yeah.
Okay, Sarah's coming back in now, so.
Tempting. Okay. Doors closed, headphones are on. Good.
Let's hit it.
It's alright, I've sent the vicar out.
The vicar.
Bring the vicar back. You know full well we need him to be able to complete this.
No, he was booked for Were Rabbit. I've got to send him away now, otherwise he'll start charging overtime. Well, that was a close shave, wasn't it?
Just by a hair.
So, sort of non-essential question. Are they always called, like, vicars or priests in England? How does that work?
So I think it falls down religious lines. I think it depends on what sort of side of the church you're in. I think vicars are an offshoot and priests are an offshoot, because to be honest, I don't know. That's probably the best way to say. I would assume it was offshoots, but...
And I should say, like, majority, because, of course, you would have exceptions.
I'm not an expert. I know that the vicar is an Anglican position, so I'm thinking, like, when the Catholic Church split off, that's where the priest came in, but I don't know if there's priests in the Anglican Church or not.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Hang on, let me check. Priest versus vicar. There was also priest versus vampire.
Ooh.
Okay, a priest is a member of the clergy who serves a church, while a vicar is a priest who works for or in a place of a parish pastor. So priest administers the sacraments, visits the sick, oversees religious education. Vicars represent the bishop or parish priest and play a critical role in the spiritual or administrative life of a congregation. So basically the same thing. Also, just for reference, the basic thing with Anglican or being Catholic, it's kind of a variation of a Reformed Catholic. They don't recognize the Pope. Instead, the head of the Church of England is a British monarch. Yeah.
British monarch?
Oh. Yeah, was that the one that Henry VIII came up with?
Yes.
There was
Probably,
yes.
dissolution of monasteries.
Yep.
I would imagine that that's where they,
So a close shave, guys.
Yes, I will pull back now. I will pull back because my brain was already going to how he was a composer and he was like, anyway, no, we're going a close shave.
Hey, John, just real quick before we go into that, just real quick, I say, like, because all this kind of does relate back to Wallace and Gromit, at least the stuff that doesn't involve Carvel ice cream, leave it in. Let it be. If it makes sense to the explanations, leave it in, because that is part of the understanding the culture around it all. You know, I mean, whether it be Sarah with some great information or Dan with his great information, I mean, you've got a lot of interesting perspectives on Wallace and Gromit.
I don't know what I provided, but thank you for recognizing me.
Absolutely.
Oh, pizza.
I can hear it. It's in my fridge. It's calling me. I've got the oven preheated to 200.
Okay.
So welcome back to the Carvel Cast, guys, where we talk about ice cream that matters.